Thank you very much, Brewster. Thank you for a fabulous tour upstairs, incredible story, amazing.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you to Evan and to Sarah from the Internet Archive staff to make this happen. This came together quite quickly, but I think it's kind of fun to be at risk in front of friends. And the idea of this talk is to try to recruit you. Is to go and show some of the other things that other people have done to try to put user interfaces on top of the Internet Archive's data and services, to try to inspire you to help in some way, do better, whatever. I'm going to blast through a ton of interfaces. That's not archive.org. And it's not openlibrary.org. But the other people that have been building on these, with these tools to try to bring collections to life. They're fantastic collections that have been built over time. What can we do with these things? And it's really just limited, well, to our skills and our ability to go and build some things. So, bringing collections to life. That's the theme, and hopefully you see yourself in this picture somewhere. Like in this picture. So this is something that we did this year in collaboration with the National Library of the Netherlands at the Internet Archive Europe. And it was used as a display with a console like this on a large display at the National Library. And so I'm going to show you a couple of these. This is kind of a fun way to try to understand how big the Dutch domain is. So these are home pages from the Netherlands from 2025. And I don't know, we can hit play. And we can go and see, well, it doesn't have a very good past there. Okay, let's zoom around and try to get sort of an idea of just how big the Dutch domain is. Let's try another one. Boom, boom, boom. You can even search museums. And you can go from one to the next and go and sort of surf around and see, okay, now I want to see that one. And you can see past versions. And it's just the idea of trying to get people an idea of just how broad and big the web is. And it was just a sort of an idea of just give you an idea of the breadth and also the depth. And to try to make it fun with a joystick. Then we thought, okay, why don't we take that tool and try another collection, which is periodicals. So these are, the Internet Archive has 25,000 titles. And it's just huge. Oh, display world, right, or whatever. And White Magazine. So these are past versions that then you can actually go into and see. So the idea is to try to give you a new navigation thing. We're getting so used to having UI get down to tiny little phones or just talking to your ear. But as Mary Lou Jepson puts it, screens or LCDs are cheaper than wall, right? So let's go and bring things to life. So anyway, let's creative computing. Creative computing. And so you can basically go and see sort of all these old things. We'll play them, da-da-da-da-da. So it's just a way of trying to make it fun to navigate an enormous information space in a new, different way. So that's an interface. I'm just going to keep going. And just like, there's just going to be another. Okay, when we started digitizing microfiche, we thought everybody's going to be interested in digitizing microfiche. So we made a live stream with a chat window and cool lo-fi music. So you can go and just get into your vibe watching somebody live digitizing microfiche. And there he is. And so this is a camera, industrial camera we put on top of an XY table to go and take 16 pictures that then get woven together, put on a line. Then there are other people that go and figure out what all the pieces are. Then they're put into a book. Then they're OCR. Then they're read aloud to blind and dyslexic. They're given away for free. But anyway, turns out there are 2 people right now watching our live stream. Sometimes we get up to around 25 these days. But actually just earlier today, YouTube turned it off, our URL, because I guess copyright? I don't know. Just crappy platforms. So that's another sort of use of trying to show the Internet Archive and bringing people in some kind of interesting way. I better shut down my music here. Boop. Then there's the Open Library Reader, which is an app that was built by a volunteer. OpenLibrary.org is another website of the Internet Archive that has basically one web page for every book ever published and how you might be able to get it in different ways. And then the idea is to try to make it work on a phone, so that was done by a volunteer, which is kind of excellent. There's the Library Explorer, which was sort of a love letter to the physical library, so you can kind of walk around shelves and sort of look at serendipity of what makes sense next to each other. I'm going to just flash on from this, not demo it, but it's there. There's bulk book search, and you can go and take all of the ISBNs in your collection and then try to make lists of them. So you can go and move them online. You can then search them and borrow them online, that kind of thing, because we want our books, they're part of our brain. How do we go and move forward? These are all interfaces that people are doing about and around the archive. Some of these are being done by Internet Archive staff, but a lot of these things are being done by volunteers that are basically trying to bring new and different ways of viewing what it is we have. For instance, we've got all these books in different languages that may not be your language, but now translation is getting to be pretty good. So this is an overlay on top of an Internet Archive book with a different language. So we have now 40 languages. So you can go from all sorts of languages to all sorts of languages, trying to live up to Michael Hart's vision, who is of Project Gutenberg, of having all books available to everybody in all languages. So we're trying to live up to that dream. There's a live music iOS app done by volunteers to go and try to make it so that you can. Were you a volunteer at the time, or was it no? Pardon? You created, but were you here? Were you working here then? Before you started here. And now he's working here. Yay! So anyway, should I try to play it? I can't play it. No, I have to be on a phone. Yeah. Okay. Well, but it's a live music app. Mark worked with a couple of interns, I think, mostly, to try to make an Alexa thing go. Let me see if I can get it to go. Alexa, open the Internet Archive skill.
Alexa Plus. Welcome to music at the Internet Archive. Want to listen to live concerts, unlocked recordings, or Christmas music?
Live concerts.
You've selected live concerts. What artist would you like to listen to? For example, The Of a Revolution, The Grateful Dead, or The Grateful Dead?
The Grateful Dead.
All right. Let's go with Grateful Dead. Do you have a specific city and year in mind, like Ithaca, New York, 1977, or would you like me to play something randomly?
Berkeley, 1972.
let's play this concert that Grateful Dead played in 1972 in Berkeley, California.
This is my era of the Grateful Dead.
The Grateful Dead.
So you can rock out to old unlocked recordings, or all the Grateful Dead you could possibly want. In fact, all the Grateful Dead. Alexa, stop, or Alexa, exit. Score. So that's another kind of interface to try to get these things to work. Now, actually, I practiced this before this talk to try to make it so that it wouldn't not work. So there's ways that we can make this a lot better to basically build voice navigation, which people are starting to expect. So if you want to work on that, please do. So we have better things to do. Okay. Bob Stein, who's actually here, is, I think, one of the great designers of the future of the book. I think he was working along with the Internet Archives, physical archives, and said, we should have a different way of viewing things. Bob, would you like to take 4 minutes? And how long, Ted, how long do I have? Come on up. So Bob Stein started Criterion Movies. He started the Voyager, the best of the CD-ROM era, and he's done these tapestries. How can I help you? After putting you on spot.
Can you get me on a browser?
Yeah.
Or you here? I could do it from here.
Okay.
If I just click on one, will it?
Yep.
Okay. This is an example of a bookshelf. This was made by Laura Gibbs, who's a librarian, and her expertise is folk tales. And so she made a tapestry with 18 different versions of the very same folk tale. And you can just browse it. And I think, unlike the Book Explorer that Brewster showed, the beauty of this kind of a bookshelf is that it really does replicate the experience in the stacks. Because I don't have to, most digital bookshelves, you click on something, you go somewhere else, it's not what you want, you come back, you choose another one. Here, they're all here. And it encourages exploration. Okay, let me just show you a couple. Where were we?
I have a question.
Yes.
When I think of user interface, I think of being oriented and being able to focus. And the question is, how does that paradigm match with how do I discover where I am and know to find somewhere else I want to go?
How do you well, everything is here. So actually, can we get up where's the one there? This was the first tapestry, and the point of it was to present this 85-minute lecture that Alan Kay gave about the contributions of the early pioneers. And what happened to me was that I watched it and I realized that, yes, they're all white men, but the ideological basis of their work was very progressive. They really wanted to make computer technology benefit humanity. So I couldn't figure out how to get every young person I know who's building our digital future to look at this film until I had the idea, let's just break it up into all of its parts. So, for example, Engelbart features largely in this talk, and the thing about this is these are not links. These are operating objects. This is Engelbart's famous 2-hour mother of all demos, and by the way, today happens to be the anniversary of this. It was December 9th. And it really changed. I mean, it was 2 hours long, and people sat there rapt. They had never seen anything he was doing before, which included the first word processor, the first video conference, the mouse, a whole bunch of things that people just hadn't seen. I'll give this back to Brewster. What I really want him to do is make something for you because it's so sweet. But Brewster was saying earlier he really likes this one, and I do too. It's one of my favorites. And it's, for me, it's tapestry as a thinking space. I had seen this Chris Hedges essay in which it's about Gaza, but he talks about a new dark age. And I remembered that Jane Jacobs had done a book with the phrase "Dark Age Ahead," and one of my favorite philosophers of today, James Bridle, wrote a book like this, and some internet person I never heard of called Sonder had written this amazing essay called "Shit's Gonna Get Weird," about how AI was going to basically destroy social fabric. So I just sort of put all these things in here and to explore for myself. But I find that it's the tapestry that I share the most with everybody.
I hope
Because
you'll
it was,
go
it was
along with this
interesting to
rather
me,
unusual setting
maybe
and
interesting to
the
them.
fact that I remain seated when I get introduced, and the fact that I'm going to come to you mostly through this meeting.
So I find this interface extremely exciting because, one, it's a read-write interface. So you can go and make these things very easily, that Bob will definitely show you how to do. But another is that you're staying within one plane, and so you don't get lost by having multiple tabs, kind of like, where am I? And I never get back. It's so you can zoom in and out on this infinite plane and actually use these things as live things. And so that for me is sort of a big deal. And I'm really very excited about that because a lot of the materials in the Internet Archive, you don't know you want them yet. You don't know that this is what it is you've been looking for. So you want to be able to dabble in things, or you might want to go and see 2 or 3 movies at once. And this allows you to do that and sort of keep your place as to where you were. Anyway, I think this is an exciting direction, and it's still all happening right now. So please leverage the time that Bob is here. Okay. Other things. So GeoCities was an era of web, sort of the first of the sort of homesteading. You can go and blog, you can put things up on your website. But it also had animated GIFs. And so these are not animated GIFs of sort of, of a movie star. These are animated GIFs like these. And so Jefferson and the person that worked at the archive, and Nate just redid it to be able to go and bring this to life. And so you can look for butterfly. And you basically get to see, well, tons of butterflies from GeoCities. And you click on one, and then you get brought to the web page that one was from. So it's a way of navigating and also just having a blast. And I don't know, I just tried Dancing Baby. I thought, oh yeah, ta-da! Boy, do we have Dancing Baby. And we've got different kinds of Dancing Babies. And anyway, so you too can see your Dancing Babies in context. So just a new and different way of browsing an enormous world. And Nate did this by the most recent generation of this by going and pulling all the GIFs out, trying to deduplicate them, using AI by going and taking the images, try to get what this thing is all about, and then put that in the search engine to be able to find these things really fast, and then be able to link back into the Internet Archive's collection of GeoCities. So again, it's just kind of a new, different, playful, and easy it wasn't that easy, system. Okay, book server. Book server is to try to build a system that's kind of like the web, in the sense that there are lots of websites that serve web pages, but what if you had book servers that serve books instead? So there'd be a search engine, and then you'd be able to go and from your mobile device, go use a search engine, then find either a library or a bookseller that would be selling it. And if you bought it, you actually get the honest-to-God book, right? You don't get a license to go and see some surveilled, cruddy, DRM'd, streamed, blah. No, you actually buy an EPUB or a PDF from where it is, and you deliver the money to, it could be a bookseller, it could be an author. And so wouldn't it be great if 80% of the money that you spent on something actually went to the person that made it? What a revolution! So we want that world. And so Book Server is built again on top of the Internet Archive. And this is it tries to make it so you can buy and borrow and also just read open books that you might see. And this is still in process, working with Better World Books for buying books. Here's a book that I think we can borrow. It's ready to read. I just borrowed this book, and I have this book for 14 days. So the idea is, on your phone, you can buy and borrow books. And you're not surveilled by some third-party platform. It's just like the web, the old web, right? Where you had a search engine that would then refer you to a bookseller, and you'd pay the bookseller or the author or the publisher directly, or you go to one of many libraries and borrow books from their collection. So I'm going to return this book now so somebody else can borrow it. And that is, and I think I can show you how to buy. I think this is the developer in France. Here's a book that you can buy. This is a little movie of his doing it. So, okay, so I want to purchase this book from Better World Books. I'm completing my purchase using Apple Pay. All you have to do is use your email address, because why should you give them anything more than that? And you just give them some money, and I guess you could give them kind of a fake email address. And 1096 MAD, whatever that is. Okay, and then thank you for your purchase. Come back to your app on your phone. See this EPUB. And presto, in this video world, you can now go and just download onto your phone for a fee a book that you now own, in the same sense that you own a physical book. Like, you can resell it. You can pass it on to your kids. It doesn't evaporate or get changed on you behind the scenes, as we're seeing going on in other systems. So that's, okay, I'm going to keep going at this, right? I'm just going to keep going with more different ways that people have put user interfaces on the Internet Archive, and you can too. So we, the first people to go and say yes to going and having everything in their language digitized and made available on the Internet for free were the Balinese. And so we went and photographed all of their palm leaves. That's how they write. They write on palm leaves. And so working with the Balinese, we photographed all of them, and we thought, fantastic. Everybody in the villages, we're going to learn Balinese and the traditions and all, it's going to be great. Wrong. So we had these, and they could get at them, but the kids these days are taught Indonesian. They're not taught Balinese. They don't know how to read the script. The way that these were done before is they were basically sung by priests. They would sing the lontar. So they don't know how to read it. So, okay, now we have to go and transcribe these to get them into Unicode. We worked with the Unicode people to go and add the glyphs that were missing from the Balinese, which were great to work with the Unicode people. And then we got a bunch of them done by Balinese by doing this, this Wikipedia. because they knew how to use Wikipedia. And so we made a way that you could automatically import into Wikimedia assets from archive.org and then go and use that to make it so that people could edit it. So here's the Bolognese lawn tar collection. It's, it's, a lot of these have been already these have been digitized. And here's those pages, which they would zoom into and then transcribe it into the Unicode of Bolognese. Then there's a Romanization version, auto transliteration of it, and then if we can get better at it, we can then go and translate it or whatever to try to get it so that kids would go and leverage all of this literature that is their literature. It's just they can't really get at it. So this is an example that I think, Brenton, you did this one, to go and integrate Internet Archive resources into Wikimedia to make a distributed proofreaders project to try to make it so that we could go and do annotations and translations, transliterations in a crowdsourced kind of way. Right? So another interface. I know, it's going to get a little withering, but stay with me. Okay, television news. We started recording television news in the year 2000, 2001, and on September 11th, there was, the planes went in, came down, and other places. It was basically a large-scale television event. This is 4 years before YouTube, but we determined what we wanted to do was to try to help inform the world about what were other people thinking about it? Whether if you were foreigners, what were the Americans saying about this event? And the Americans, what were the foreigners? Because we were recording Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Iraqi, all these. So we went and got things back from tape, from digital tape. And on October 11, 2001, one month after the event, we took 1 week of television news from around the world and built a user interface and put it out on the net. And it is kind of amazing. I don't know if you want to, we have a video if you just want to see yet more of sort of what that world was like. Okay, well, the user interface is basically, what were things like, by, in Mexico City, in Beijing, and what were they saying, and how was it working over that whole week in terms of talking about, well, whatever they were talking about, but they were also talking about September 11th. So this was an interface that when we wanted to find a place to debut it, we did it at the television news museum in Washington, D.C. And the director said, if I show this, if I launch this here, I'm going to lose my job. Right? Because these are all publishers, of course, and publishers don't want any of this stuff to happen. And he said, but it's still really too important. I'm late in my career. Let's do it. And actually, the television they were actually on good behavior. So it went out. People loved it. And Tracy, you were a major scale one in building of this. And just in case you just want to see it one more time of this.
We want to see it one more time.
Evan, can you turn it up?
On this Tuesday morning, it's the 11th day of September, the year 2001, and we've got a nice crowd on a beautiful early fall morning here in Manhattan. We hope the weather's pretty where you're waking up as well.
Use the equity in your home to consolidate your credit card or other debts. Just log on.
Yeah. This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
Okay, so this, I'm just going to skip forward. These are little clips. This is what's going on in Mexico City. Trying to deal with what's going on. This is chronologically going on. Okay,
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
Terrible.
Has
I
just
did not
hit.
see a plane go in. That that just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of absolutely
Yes, and that's the second explosion you could...
Yeah, just in case you need to see this.
2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center.
Okay, so this is just a way of showing some of the things that we have done to try to bring, using clips of television news from around the world together to try to tell a story that actually couldn't be told any other way because nobody else had the collection. So that's, there's also television news that's searchable with the transcript below, and you can go and swipe over the transcript to make a quote, and it makes a quote of that video saying those words that you can then put in your blog. We wanted to make everyone into, remember the Daily Show with Jon Stewart? They'd say, hey, there's this person saying this, and now the same person saying this. Yeah, that. We wanted to basically make everybody be able to do that. And there were, how many, Mark? This runs the Television News Archive, and Tracy, but it was used in a recent...
So yesterday, the reporter Andrew Kaczynski, yesterday the reporter Andrew Kaczynski, K-File at CNN, broke a story based on research that he had done with the Television News Archive, looking for recordings of things that Pete Hegseth had said about whether or not Trump might encourage people to disobey orders, military orders. And he found 3 references from 2016 about this, back when Hegseth was a news reporter on Fox. So yesterday on CNN.com above the fold, the story was there, and then today Andrew has been given interviews about that, and he's been crediting the Television News Archive as the source. So there are 3 URLs in the CNN article.
So this is an example of people basically using the collections, going and searching, finding things, going and using it in news, or trying to help understand our world. There's a third party, Kahle, who's just an amazing researcher that's building the Television Explorer. I don't really know quite how to use this very well. Do you want to come up and give a quick demo with this thing?
I can fumble around a little bit, yeah. What this is an interface into large quantities of television through a visual representation of the material. So what we do is we take the linear video and then we chop it up into pieces at 2 different levels initially. One, for 30-minute or 1-hour segments for a particular channel. So let's say it's a Russia channel 24. You were back to it.
This is Russia 1.
That's Russia 1. So there we're seeing, okay, let's stop there. So let's say Russia 24 down in the middle. I can't quite count, but I think that might be 30-minute segments. So you kind of get an idea of what was shown there. And then if you click on one of them, as Brewster just did, then you drill in on an individual period of time, and now we're seeing thumbnails every 4 seconds. If you click on a thumbnail, as Brewster just did, now we're actually going into the video at that point. But actually, if you bring it back there, because the magic is easy to miss. So this is broadcast in Russia. But what we're doing is we're using Google's transcription and translation AI models to turn the Russian audio into Russian text. Then we're translating the Russian text into English text. And you can see in near real time the English text being added as effectively closed captions onto the Russian audio and, of course, the video. And in addition, you can see below the larger text in context. Now, if you go back to where you just were, Brewster, because if you close this window, then you can see the thumbnails on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you can see the text. Right, exactly there. So there you have the large quantities of text on the right-hand side and the video on the left-hand side. This is referred to as the Television News Visual Explorer.
Okay,
And
good.
thank you.
You can keep that. And he's tried a bunch of other approaches towards going and showing different cable news that has just counting the number of occurrences of terms and phrases and what the sentiment is around those to be able to understand the perspectives that you see if you watch one of those channels. And this has been useful to reporters and users to try to get an idea of what's going on. I think we can go a lot further towards building a macroscope of trying to get an idea of what are the top messages, just using AI summaries to go and make an idea of what did Russian government tell their people. And you can do that, and you can see a great deal of consistency, and that kind of analysis can now be done by an organization this small, if you help, and try to make it more useful to people.
There's a question from
Yeah.
Online. And they just ask, how do you, what software did you write, or how do you do the sorting of those clips?
Depending on which ones you're talking about there, but it's basically we record the television news off of satellites and cable and all of those sorts of the internet, can bring it together, make them into items, run it through optical, we actually do optical character recognition of the lower chyron, also any text on there, but also the transcripts, and then when you put different interfaces on top of it to go and pull it apart and try to make it usable in different ways. Time-based media is notoriously difficult to go and navigate, and I really don't like podcasts because there are no footnotes. There's no way of going back and understanding it. There's not a real way of holding on to things. It just sort of flows over, and people are completely convinced by the podcasts they listen to. Just listen to any of your friends going, tell you about that podcast. It's like, yeah, but is it right? And how do you go and so can we go and bring some critical thinking into these media that we're being really convinced by? Okay, another interface. I'd say, yes.
A simple one, hopefully also easy. What percentage of the Internet Archive's content is covered by any of these special interfaces? I know there's a basic one that can surface anything from the archive, if I understand correctly. But could you
Tiny.
guess for us?
Tiny. And so we have, the television has got these different things coming along. The Wayback Machine is still pretty much, because it's so big, there have been attempts to make the Wayback Machine, and I'll show you a few, but we have all of these specialized collections that really need different kinds of user experiences to make people be able to dig into them. And if you want them to be in the center of a community, you want not just to be able to watch, you want to be able to participate. So you take that live music collection, which is now up to 8,000 bands, and a couple 100,000 concerts. We basically built little interfaces, Tracy did actually, to go and make it so that community could go and upload into their band's collections and make it so that the user experience is particular to that collection. We would like to do that to collection after collection after collection, and that's one of the theme songs for the Internet Archive this year is Democracy's Library, Tools for Participation, to try to make the Internet Archive less of a watching experience and more of a participation experience so that it can be used as the glue for communities. So how do we go and make that kind of thing work? We need help. That's this year's theme song. If you can hum along with that theme, we really need the help. Yes?
Really, a lot of really interesting and good stuff here. As like a short question, for the Television Explorer, do you all also capture things like commercials or
Yes.
like things like that? Wow, that's a lot, even more content.
Oh, it's a lot of data. Yeah. I don't know. It's 70 some odd channels, 20.
70 channels is basically 20 terabyte per channel per year. So it's about 1.5 petabyte right now to archive the television that we're archiving.
For a year?
For a year.
Per year. And we have it back to 2000. So it's a lot. But it's there, and it's really well cataloged. I mean, I went to the MIT Artificial Intelligence Lab. I thought we were data starved, and I thought we needed more data to be able to go and do interesting things with. So we build AI. And that was one of the genesis for this project. So it's all basically all queued up for going and doing interesting work with it. So yes, there are rights problems on a lot of it, and there's these policy issues that you have to try to work through, but there's lots of opportunities here to go and use it for new and different ways.
If I could just add very briefly, if you want to learn more about the Television News Archive TV Explorer and other of the experiments that Kahle at GDELT is engaged in, just go to gdeltproject.org, and at the very top, click blog, and Kahle writes extensively about what he does and how he does it. He often includes the code there, and you can go in and follow his footsteps and learn from what he's doing and do your own experiments.
Spell that out one more time.
gdeltproject.org.
GDELT project. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, donate books. So we want people to go and donate books, but we don't want them to donate the same books over and over and over again. So we made an app that basically can read barcodes and the text of ISBNs and LCCNs from books. And it goes, green, we want it. Red, we already got it. Green, we want it. And so people are doing this all day long based on this free and open app. Again, it's just user interface on top of the same underlying code base and data space. Interlibrary loan. Interlibrary loan is magic. You can go and just request an article or a book chapter from anywhere, and it'll appear as a PDF that you own. Let me repeat that again. You can go and ask for a book chapter or an article, and it will appear for you that on a PDF that you own. It existed in a time when things were a bit more rational. And so interlibrary loan is fantastic, and we basically have a system for going and correlating, I don't know, about 500 or 600 libraries. Interlibrary loan systems come into our Slack channel here, and basically there are people in every time zone that are going and answering these within a couple minutes. So the idea is to go and answer these things quickly, and so we have this Slack channel, and you can go and click on the PDF maker, and it comes up with PDF. This was a request that I just clipped out today, earlier today, that somebody wanted something from Popular Mechanics from 1992, and it found it, and I can hit click, upload, whoosh, goes back to the user. And we'd like to go and make a better sort of library-to-library system. Right now it goes through a couple of aggregators, platforms, and I say that platforms in the kind of way you'd imagine my saying platform. So let's go and build a protocol, not platform, approach towards interlibrary loan and make it go. If anybody's interested in that, please, let's go from just having 200, 300, 400 a day and make that much larger, because it is a magic mechanism that's all bright line legal to do, to go and make it so people can get access to book chapters and articles from wherever they are. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the publishers stopped microfilm. So there was Vannevar Bush, you may have heard of him, the Memex and all of that, in 1945 was sort of how to build universal access. The publishers shut that down. They shut down microfiche and microfilm completely. That's why basically what you have for on microfiche is pretty much just government documents. Because, again, the idea of people reading books is just like, oh, my God, we don't want that to happen. So anyway, so they stopped that. But when the Xerox machine came out, there was all of this negotiation of what do you do and do with it and how do you make it work. And they negotiated this particular structure of interlibrary loan and how one library can only do 5 articles out of any particular publication in a particular year. That's really pathetic, but that's what they negotiated. And so there's limits on all of how to make this go. But what we ended up with in the United States is bright line legal, and so let's do it. and people aren't doing it enough. Okay, any other questions? I'm just going to blast through a few more of these before you just completely fall asleep. Okay, Biodiversity Heritage Library. The idea of the Biodiversity Heritage Library was to digitize everything about all species and then index it by the species and try to make a web page for every species ever. So it's kind of like the open libraries, one book, one page for every book, Wikipedia. And so they basically built this, and we helped build the back end. So we digitized the materials, and then they went and used natural language technology to go and find all of the species that are on it. So this is a page from the Biodiversity Heritage Library. It's value add on top of our book collection that indexes all of the species on this particular page. Right? So it makes it more useful for a particular user community. Internet Archive Arcade. So can we build arcades again and out of the old stuff? And you actually probably saw the arcade. I didn't show it to you, but it's cool. But it's all using software emulation. Archive It. Archive It is this is a service of the Internet Archive for libraries to go and collect web pages for their own behalf. So if we have 1,300 libraries doing this, and they might want particular subjects or particular organizations, or newspapers, and they archive those sites over and over and over again at the pace that they want. They make searchable collections, but the whole thing also goes into the overall web collections that have an interface called the Wayback Machine on top of it. The Wayback Machine is an interface on top of collections, and the number of collections is enormous because there are all of these different libraries and archives and museums building these collections, and we're trying to build new and different ways for these libraries to use these collections they've spent years building, because it's all very primitive. It's basically very simple search. So how do we go and build new different ways that they can take their collections and make them more useful, as well as how do we make the Wayback Machine more useful? Then there's turning the citations blue. So Wikipedia has many citations in it. Each one of those is referencing something else. Can we make those blue? Can we make them clickable? And can we make them so that they don't have dead links? And so this took a long time working with the Wikipedia communities run by Mark Graham, who's here, to go and approve our robots that go and fix broken links. So it goes through and basically has built a database of all of the citations. And when one of those citations to, say, a web page goes dead, we substitute in the Wayback Machine URL. And how many have been fixed?
More than 28 million to date, approximately 10,000 every day.
So 28 million links from Wikipedia have been fixed by this system. And also it goes and finds book links and makes it so it goes to the book and opens right to the right page. So, and it's Hero, 1.2 million? 4.2 million links from Wikipedia go to a whole lot of books in the Internet Archive and open to the right page. So that's the idea of turning the references blue. Let's go a step further. Let's take every PDF of every scientific paper you bring into your browser. All of the footnotes turn into links, and if you can't get it from open, then it goes into an ILL. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
So why don't we go and build that? And so that we have all of the technology to be able to, and we have the collections on the back end and the rights to be able to go and do this kind of thing. IIIF. IIIF stands for something, I'm sure, and it's a way of referring to a part of an image on another person's server, so you can go and build your new interface based on things from lots of different places. The Internet Archive supports it with all of its books and maps and all sorts of things, and so you can go and put together new interfaces from lots of different places. And a lot of the cultural heritage organizations support this to go and build new and different interfaces without having to have it copy it all onto your site. You can go and use other people's. And I can show it to you, but I'm just going to keep, no, I'm going to just keep going. So this is the GDELT project that we were talking about before. He did a really cool thing of taking laws and making infographics out of them, which is kind of amazing. And I've read some of these. I don't really know what the law says, so I can't double check it, but it's all very detailed and tries to go and help explain complicated things. So it's a different kind of summary. If you have the underlying data, the technologies are starting to become available. This is the reference explorer that I referred to of all of the references in Wikipedia, so you can start to play with it as a data set and go and do things like fix broken links. I'm really nearing the end here, but I don't even remember why this is here. Mark?
This is an example of where in 2022, the New York Times wrote a story about the impact of Tucker Carlson on American culture. And they used as their data set for this more than 1,000 videos of Tucker Carlson from the Television News Archive. This won one of the big awards. I don't know.
Right. So it just took everything somebody said and then go and analyze that to go and try to understand what it is this person's saying over and over. There's also, it was featured in a Washington Post piece, not this particular, Tucker Carlson was, for appearing so often on Russian state television. And that was using Kahle's Television Explorer. And you just look at 24 hours of television, and it's just like, and here's another swath of Tucker Carlson. Here's another, and he's just all over it. And you sort of get it at a different level, visceral level that works. There's an extension that you should download, which is the Wayback Machine extension. I use it all the time to go and check, is this page that I'm looking at been archived or not? And then you can go and say, save page now. So that's what I use it for most. But it's got all sorts of other features to try to be a web companion, kind of like what Alexa Internet was for, to go and try to help you out as you're moving around the World Wide Web. The Wayback Machine now has some primitive search to it, which is kind of great, using anchor text and titles. Also, it has third-party annotations, the fact-checking type things, to try to help people get context around what they're looking at, which is really wholly missing from the internet. There's some experiments in the social media sites, and we're archiving actually the community notes from X, so even though they go away fairly rapidly on X, they stay around for the Wayback Machine interface to these things. There's a scrolling list of other experiments by third parties that have been going on to go and try to build on top of the Internet Archive. These are the APIs for command line, which I use every day. There's Python interface. There's a JavaScript incomplete version, and OAuth. We have a partial implementation to try to help out people. Thank you. Woo!
Brewster,
okay. I'm
it's a
sorry if that's
whirlwind.
withering, but what the whole idea was to try to make it so you say, I want to go and work on that, or I'd like to help on that, or maybe you could help me on my next project, or here's something that could be doing. That was the idea for this talk. Thank you.
So thank you, and I'm sure there's some interesting questions, and I guess I just want to start by saying, with all these beautiful interfaces, I want to be, I almost need a tutorial on how to find which one and where to start, because it's just...
You're deputized.
I will do. All right.
Well, you have some of the people here that built them. So can people go and put up their hand that participated on building any
maybe.
one or more of the sites? Nate, Tracy, Mark, Brenton, Jason, Bob Stein, who may still be here. No, did he go home? Oh, there's Bob Stein. Ask them, really, what was the good, the bad, the evil, the difficult, the painful, the still needs to be worked out.
So much.
Or the, hey, this worked, this didn't work, here's how you can do it.
I mean, I don't think there's a richer environment to work on user experience.
Go and start. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool and interesting projects here. So I'm going to throw a tougher question, right? If you had a priority list of like the most important that need to be worked on right now, given everything that's going on, because a lot of these are
Yeah, I
really,
got an answer for
'cause
that.
Just yes, because
The,
you
the
know
theme,
you
the
mentioned
theme
yes.
song for this year is called Democracy's Library, Tools for Participation. So let's bring the information that will help us have democracies live long and prosper. And since the key feature of democracy is participation, it is not a spectator sport, it's a participation game. So how can we build tools to help people participate, not in just the electoral politics, but with their communities? How do we go and take all of the municipal hearings that are going on and have people go and understand what's going on and participate? How do we go and have them participate in anything from potluck dinners? How do you go and make communities work that get people that think differently in their local communities, maybe remote communities, maybe they're affiliated communities? How do we go and build tools that don't make it feel like people are screwing them over, right? We have these platforms that just feel bad out there, and people are just abandoning them because they feel like they're being taken advantage of. Let's go and make a system that has got many winners. Let's make it so that we have people not feeling like they're being taken advantage of. And the Internet Archive has a nonprofit business model. We don't sell ads. We don't surveil. We don't even keep IP addresses if we can avoid it. So the idea is to try to make it so that we build systems that are on the people side, because that's where our support comes from. We get our money from either big donors or a lot of small donors. Those banners, you know, the $5 a month. Those that's what supports us, and so that's who we work for, and it's why we get a tax deduction. So, the highest priority is Democracy's Library, Tools for Participation. Let's have things to show in October before the elections that is uplifting participatory structures for people to come together to make hard decisions with each other's input and build the communities required to do that.
Yeah. And before October, I almost imagine that we could have an incentive, some sort of a competition, get people to make.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. We can seed money. We can do all sorts of things. We just need the reach is amazing. The cool thing I find about this project is just it's used by millions of people a day. And it's so you can actually make things that are out there and used if they work.
So we have an SEO question here. Somebody asking how they put things up and they don't know how to find them. How to get other people to find them? How would you suggest people make their stuff more visible if they want?
So you can go to archive.org and hit upload.
There you go.
What does it say?
I'm hiring. He just put on your.
I'm hiring. Yes, we're hiring volunteers for a very good price. So how do you make it so you can go to archive.org and hit upload? And if you hit upload and build a collection of things, and somebody on the Internet Archive is going to notice, and then we're going to go and make a collection out of it and try to help. Such there's a landing page that is your stuff, and so that's kind of a way to put things up, but it doesn't help because we have so much materials to help people find it. Most people go and put things on social media. They put things on blogs. They try to describe it well so that it actually comes up in search. Our site is really pretty hard to navigate, sorry to say. Don't take it wrong. So it's hard to make it through by going and landing on archive.org. If you just go to archive.org, it'll probably feel pretty overwhelming, and you're going to think of, gosh, I really should go wash dishes. All right, so how do we go and make it so that it's easier to go and play? I think it's going to be pulling apart the collection. Don't think of it as an omnibus, but go and make it so that there's communities around different subject areas. That's, I think, going to be and we can provide free back-end storage forever for free. Yes.
Woo!
Yes, Evan.
One relatively new feature that a lot of people don't know about is once you make an account, there's a new feature called lists. Raise your hand if you worked on lists here. I think it was probably Brenton, maybe Isa a little bit. Tracy. The cool thing about that is you can find any item on the archive and you can add it to a list. And if you make it public, it has a permalink that you can go to. So if you're collecting a bunch of stuff together on the archive, you can then share that the list link out to somewhere else. But it all exists on the archive and won't get like diffused.
And or make a tapestry. Take your list and put it in black tapestry and then go and put some annotations and links and add it and make it into a fun environment. Really, the tapestries, I think, is a big deal. And it's still new and nascent and but I think that structure, that way of viewing the world is really empowered. It's such a simple change, but I think it's a powerful one. Anybody else?
I just wanted to recap what I just heard, which is, while I asked what seemed to be a silly question about how you can uplift content, actually, you have great tools for doing that, tapestry and lists, and I think that's a pretty amazing, forward-looking thing that you are trying to make it so people can make their own archive, and that idea of bringing an archive to life is really something that's a verdant opportunity for all.
Thank you. Our motto is universal access to all knowledge, or in other words, bits in, bits out, and you can win arguments here. If your change or whatever you want to have happen increases bits out or bits in, bonus points if it does both. And so that's what we're here for. We're not here for quarterly profit. None of that stuff matters. Yes, we have to make enough to make it so you can sit in a church basement and eat our food, but that doesn't cost that much. And so the idea is to keep our focus on bits in, bits out. So please help us do that.
So with the energy that is generated by this man, somehow all these lights turn on, the food is served,
by all of us. There are a lot of us,
and lots and lots of people are making interfaces to access all of the knowledge of the world that is digitized. And with that, I'm Ted Selkrow, the chair of ACM Sig Chi.
Are we closed?
Thank you so much for the talk.
Thank you.
Yeah.